Welcome to A State of Mind. I am so happy to be bringing you a new episode of this podcast because I know the power of conversations to change lives. You can learn more about each episode in the show notes below, and you can support our podcast by checking out our sponsors with the links below. It would also help us out a lot if you left us a review or gave us a comment or just shared about this with your friends and family. So I'm here today with Bu Nan Brown. Bu Nan, thank you for being back on the podcast.
It's my pleasure to be here. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, it's great to have you on. How would you like to introduce yourself to folks?
I would introduce myself. I've got quite the background in Buddhism, Zen Buddhism particularly. That's where the Bu Nan piece comes from. I always get that question a lot. And
yeah, where does the name come from?
So it comes from my Rinzai Zen lineage, and so it's a Dharma name, means no difficulties. And definitely aspirational name to live up to.
I was gonna say, it's a pretty good name.
Yeah. I got to experience the state of no difficulties once for about 3 minutes in consciousness, and I was like, that's what it means, and been chasing it ever since. But I've got the background in Buddhist practice, of course, and then I've been since about 2018 pretty heavily focused on attachment theory and attachment repair, and call myself a somatic attachment coach. Is the body of work that I've been in and developing over those years. And then I also have my other passion in the world is teaching contemplative tea. So contemplative tea ceremony is part of the work that I do. And so the attachment work is kind of like the big offering to the world, and then the bringing in the beauty and the heart of just being with each other and being able to drop in and connect in all of these non-ordinary ways, which is one of the salves for the rampant disconnection and just difficulty in the world that we live in today.
Yeah, definitely. So needed. Yeah. So what is attachment theory?
So attachment theory, we could come at it from a bunch of different ways. We could look at John Bowlby started creating this back in the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, all of that, and cover the history of it. But in my experience of it, if people know anything about attachment theory, if they've read the book Attached or just seen all of the Instagram reels that cover it, they'll know of it as something that pops up in intimate relationships. Yeah, the power of attachment.
Okay, recommend to people.
Yeah, she does great work, and there's a newer one called Secure Relating by Ann Kelly and Sue Marriott. That's a great introduction for people as well, and so even more up to date than that one. People see it most commonly in their relationships. They get activated, their partner gets activated, it gets difficult to come back together, or there's the chasing and the avoidance piece, whatever that might be. And that's one aspect of attachment and attachment theory. But another piece of it, and what I think is the deeper component of it, or the way that I talk about it these days, is that attachment is really the foundation of the sense of self, or you can talk about the architecture of mind, if you will. And so our attachment systems get set into us before we're 2 years old, younger than that by our parents.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and so it gets imprinted into us before we can think, before we can self-reflect, before we can talk. And so it's something that's deeply somatic, deeply emotional. It's the way that we move through the world in order to try to get our needs met. And we have this base of our attachment system that's formed so early, and then we get all these other kind of developmental pieces that develop on top of it. And that system works as well as it can while we're in our family unit. And then we go out into the world and start interacting with other people, places, and things that might have a different strategy than our family of origin, and we start seeing how it doesn't work so well. And our attachment system is the way we learn to navigate the world on a pre-conscious level. The way we learn to get our needs met, both in relational ways, but also money, food, sex, power, communication, all of that.
It's so deep, so fundamental.
Yeah.
It's I think it's a little bit of an unfortunate name, attachment theory. Sounds like a theory, one of many, but it's really getting at some of the deepest parts of our psychology tradition.
Yeah, and it was originally named attachment theory, and now there's modern attachment theory, and if you look at it on a professional level and just kind of see the shift in the world where so much of the professional healing modalities are going more towards somatics and particularly towards attachment, because it is the foundation of all these other disturbances that happen. I'm still like chewing on like, okay, what's a better way to say it than attachment theory? Like, I like architecture of mind, but that's only works for a few just very nerdy people.
So you were sharing with us that our attachment system, our attachment style as an individual is developed by the age of 2. So it's very young.
Yeah.
It's before we really develop a lot of logic, rationality.
Yeah.
I mean, can you speak more to that young, how it develops at such a young age and what that means?
Yeah, so there's a, like, our parents just automatically download like what the world means and how you move through it to get your needs met. And that's kind of the basis of our attachment strategy. And there's other stuff that comes on later in life, but that core piece and that, what I would say is our more foundational sense of self, gets developed then. And like the other, like the cognitive or the discursive or the little voice in our head that says, this is who I am and this is what I do, that's secondary. It develops after this primary way of moving through the world. And like it gets set in so early that when all these other stages come online, it kind of operates in the background. It operates under the system until we get activated, and then we can see this pattern play out. And then, like, we can have the best laid ideas and like this like cognitive thing of like, this is who I am, this is the way I move through the world. But then we get activated and we see this safety mechanism come online. It's like our attachment system is also it's a core safety piece of like, this is how we move through the world and go back towards safety when we've lost it. And being able to see that system on its own terms and really understand its language, because it's not a verbal piece. It's like you have to go through regulation, you have to go through somatics, you have to go through into the body to really shift this thing and transform it. Otherwise it keeps recreating the pattern it knows that it learned at that early age of how to move through the world. And being able to, like, the work that I do with people, being able to like start to see that, and fortunately these days be able to transform it, is, it's beautiful work that I get to do with people, and very like intimate and vulnerable. But it's really powerful to watch people shift, and like watching people really start to grasp what attachment is, because it's not just our connection to other people, it's our whole connection to life, or the ways that we don't do that. And so that ability to start to see it in ourselves and be like, oh, this is the thing that's been driving my behavior for so long, and I haven't been able to see it because it's in our bones, it's in our nervous system. It is regulation theory. If you like, it's the way we regulate ourselves and regulate with others, or don't. Because if our parents didn't teach us how to do that well, we don't have great resources in our society to be able to do that. We don't get a lot of like classes in school on regulation and self-regulation and co-regulation and conflict repair and all of that stuff.
Yeah. And I think if we can bring more and more understanding to ourselves and understand that some of the roots of our attachment stuff, our attachment issues, our attachment styles are coming from when we're 1, 2, 3 years old, it can help us, if we really understand that, it can help us stop blaming ourselves.
Oh, 100%.
Help us stop judging ourselves. No one blames a 2-year-old for anything.
That's exactly.
And yet we have such an epidemic of blaming ourselves, criticizing ourselves as adults here in America, especially. So the first few sessions when I'm working with someone new, it's often working with the inner critic. And I almost see that as like the doorway in. And then if you can start to understand that these things aren't your fault, that really opens up the door to greater healing and more objectivity too, actually. See things more clearly.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I use that piece, like, what kind of care could you, like, how much better care could you have asked for yourself when you were 2 years old, 10 months old? And like that's where this stuff gets imprinted. And that ability, like, Similar to you, if I find people have a pretty harsh inner critic, I bring in a lot of self-compassion work
Mm.
to start
Mhm.
to reorient the way that we talk to ourselves, because this is the blueprint of ourself.
Mhm.
And so being able to start to see that, oh wow, these are multi-generational imprints that
Mhm.
just get passed down. And it, like, there's nothing else I could have done except be this way in the world, because that's the way I was taught how to do it. And it's not intentional. It's just automatic. It's an automatic download from parent to child. And so that ability to have
Mm.
compassion around it, forgive ourselves, forgive others, and then also when you know enough about it, like I talk about attachment strategies basically being scripts. And
Uh-huh.
when they get activated, the script just starts to play out.
Uh-huh.
And it's just, A, then B, then C, then D, then E, then F. And if you know that, that's happening, you know where to like press pause and put the remedy and start to get somebody back to a place of well-being. And
Yeah.
yeah, ideally do that for ourselves or do that with other people.
So, yeah, that's really good. So there's this, that's interesting about the scripts, and we make those more conscious. We can start to work with them and
Mm-hmm.
make different choices there.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm just really struck by your sharing about how by the age of 2, most of our attachment styles been downloaded, so to speak, or learned or conditioned.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, you know, a lot of people can relate to having different patterns in their romantic relationships that
Mm-hmm.
reoccur
Yep.
and have this issue, and then they remember maybe their first girlfriend or boyfriend, and or maybe their second one, and they're like, okay, this pattern started here.
Mm-hmm.
But what you're sharing with their attachment system, it actually probably started with their parents,
Their parents and
and
their
their parents.
grandparents. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's, I think that's interesting to share with people that these scripts and this conditioning or attachment systems go deeper than our first romantic connections, but that's where we tend to
Mhm.
become aware of them or where they start to show up.
Yeah.
And so would it be an accurate way to look at it that, we're born into this world almost completely helpless, little
Mm-hmm.
infant. We're completely
Yeah.
reliant on our parents to take care of us and for our survival.
Mm-hmm.
We learn how, on this deep somatic level, kind of pre-verbal, pre-conceptual thought even, how they're operating in the world, how needs are getting met. We learn strategies to survive,
Mm-hmm.
strategies to receive love,
Yep.
nourishment, care,
Yeah.
how to get our needs met when we're cold or when we pee our pants, and
Mm-hmm.
all those things.
Yep.
And and then they're there under the surface, and then they get activated later, often in with our main romantic partnership. That's the basic picture, your opinion?
That's we'll say the basic picture. And
Mhm.
it gets activated in our romantic relationships, but it also in our work relationships,
Okay.
in our relationship to food, in our relationship to money and play and creativity. Like
Yeah,
all of that is attachment as well.
that's
That's why I say like,
way more than just the romantic.
oh, very, very much
Yeah,
so. Yeah.
that tracks for me. Yeah.
It's imprint of our relationship both to the world and to ourself.
Hmm.
And so you can like that covers the basis of the whole thing.
Mm.
And you can say attachments, it's regulation theory. It's like how do we regulate our nervous
Hmm.
system into a place of safety, or how do we navigate when we do get activated, either in a healthy way or let's say maybe less than healthy way.
Hmm.
And that imprint's in there so early.
Hmm.
And most people just see the impacts of it in their life and try to fix the stuff outside.
Hmm.
But now there's a way to go inside and actually repattern that piece,
Mm.
or start to repattern those imprints we got from such an early age.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Is part of that repatterning really understanding and realizing that even though it feels like your life is at risk, or it feels really intense or dangerous, or it feels like if I say this thing to my partner, my world is going to end.
Hmm.
Like bringing understanding that that's actually not true. Like our adult self knows, like I could be in a relationship, could have a really challenging
Hmm.
breakup. I'm not actually going to die,
Yeah.
but on some level, it feels
Our,
like it.
our, our nervous system might feel like we're going to
Right,
die.
but we can know that's not actually true, and that
Yeah.
can be helpful.
Yeah. And so those are like two different like dimensions of attachment work. And so
Mm.
the one is being able to feel what the, let's say, autonomic nervous system or what the body is doing, because that's like attachments primarily in there.
Mhm.
And then the state of our body influences the state of our mind and puts up all these stories. But if we can start to see that and start to reflect on it, be like, oh, this is my attachment conditioning. My attachment pattern is active and running right now. So I know I'm going to see the world through these particular lenses. Like
Mhm.
for an avoidant person, they're going to shut down and pull away and like make an other of the other person so they can't hurt them, and
Mm.
use a bunch of anger and stuff like that, and go self isolate. An
Mm.
anxious individual, any perceived separation is going to feel like abandonment to the nervous system,
Mm.
and they generally regulate through other people. And so if their regulation person pulls away, even perceived, doesn't like, it can be, I'm going to the airport tomorrow. Doesn't
Uh-huh.
have to be like, I don't love you anymore and I'm out of here. And it's just like that perceived separation. It's like, oh, my attachment system is actually panicking right now because it perceives this as abandonment.
Mm.
And being able to like look at the reality of the situation, be like, oh no, they're just going on a work trip tomorrow.
Mhm.
Can I soothe myself and like repattern this to be like, no, we actually are safe.
Mhm.
Like, can I feel into the part that's activated and take a deep breath
Breathe.
and yeah, feel my feet on the ground, know that my partner's not leaving, and feel the connection that's very much
Mm.
still present with them. If we have to ask for reassurance, great. And if not, if we can like re-regulate ourselves through that and be like, no, they're not abandoning me. They're just leaving, and leaving is an abandonment.
Mhm.
Great.
Mm.
Yeah, and so if we can feel what's going on in our attachment system and then have enough awareness to see it, then we can really start doing some work. And those are two really important dimensions of attachment repair.
Mm. So just say again for people listening the two dimensions.
Yeah, I think those are two of the dimensions, like being able to feel what's going on in our
Mhm.
attachment system, and then being able to like clearly see reality as it is.
Mm.
Because if we don't know that our attachment system is getting activated, that it sends messages up to our mind, if you will, of, oh, I'm being abandoned, and then we're just being driven by that response
Mhm.
instead of being able to be like, oh, okay, I'm feeling the sense of abandonment, but I'm not actually being abandoned right now.
Mhm.
So I'm seeing my attachment conditioning, or the inner map of attachment. I'm seeing what it believes about the world right now, and I know that's not actually true anymore.
Yeah, so important.
Yeah, and that
Yeah.
being able to do both of those things at the same time allows us to actually repattern
Mhm.
that earlier knowing of the world.
Makes sense.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, so this ability to feel what we're feeling,
Hmm.
actually feel our feelings and not believe them, not believe the
Yeah.
story, not believe the thoughts.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And on like the neuroscience side of things, we get activated, the amygdala takes over, which is our
Mm.
fear response, and it sees the world in a different way, in like a certain way. It just sees threat, and it
Mhm.
sees anything that like could be perceived as threat, even if it's neutral and just it's not threatening. It
Mm.
just sees it that way. And if we can like know that about ourselves, then we can start to apply remedies. And like compassion works a huge one. It uses different circuitry in the body mind
Mm.
than like that amygdala thing. And so like, how do we actually move ourselves from this place of activation back to a place of care? This like the end goal of attachment work is just care. It's open-heartedness. It's like, I'm here with you, I'm resilient, I can take in the stress of what's happening right now, but I'm still actually really present with you and myself.
Mhm.
And that, like, just a shortcut for the viewers at home, it's compassion work. Like,
Mm.
let me breathe into my heart, let me feel it, let me like remember that I love this person for oh so many reasons, and have that be the, let's say, the guiding light, versus my attachment system is saying they're abandoning me, or they're shut down, or they're pulled away, so then I need to do all this stuff that just perpetuates that cycle, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. And so being able to see that, breathe into it, and be like, no, I'm here with you.
Oh, such
Yeah.
deep work, so good.
Yeah.
And it's giving us a window into what we mean when we talk about real human development,
Hmm.
that we can reprogram, we can update our programming, we
Yeah.
can develop deeper, greater, more accurate, more effective understandings.
Hmm.
Obviously, if our attachment system is getting totally out of whack or we're getting totally dysregulated consistently, it's not a very functional way to go through life.
No, it's it's
It's,
it's a it's a hindrance.
it's a huge hindrance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It like damages our relationships. And
Hmm.
um like, attachment isn't just relationship, it's also exploring the world. Like, how do we go out and get our needs met?
Hmm.
And if we are dysregulated, we don't go explore, like this, we can say, very well or at all. And
Hmm.
so actually like building the kind of life that we want and making the steps and going the direction that we want gets to be a lot harder when we're activated, let's say constantly or even fairly regularly.
Mm-hmm.
Because ideally, like we can go do stuff in the world and like say get wrecked by that experience and come back to our, let's say our what we call a secure base, our attachment figure, and like, get re-regulated. Like, wow, I just went and did this hard thing, and like, I learned all of that from it. Let me just like cuddle up with you and breathe, and whew, okay, I feel safe here with you, and like I got to share and
Yeah.
I got to be seen and integrate that thing. Now I can go do it again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it helps me understand how, if we look at ourselves, as animals who have evolved over
Mm-hmm.
millennia, um, we learn that our attachment system at a young age, how to get our needs met. That learning could be extremely dysfunctional.
Oh yeah.
But from the point of view of evolution and with just the goal of passing on our
Mm-hmm.
genes, if it keeps us alive and helps us get in a
Mm-hmm.
relationship where we can get pregnant by age, evolutionary speaking, like
Mm-hmm.
15 or something, like
Yeah.
it's when humans historically used to have their first child,
Mm-hmm.
then it's been a success from the point of
Yep.
view of evolution, but it's been a disaster from the point of view of human flourishing, happiness,
Yeah.
compassion,
Mm-hmm.
actually understanding reality.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
That system has worked for every single one of our ancestors.
right.
Like every single one of them. It's
Every single, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
been successful enough for them to go through this. And we can say attachment system, we can say like polyvagal, we can say fight, flight, freeze.
Hmm.
Like if people know anything, they know fight, flight, freeze, but it's safety, fight, flight, freeze. Safety part's really important, and most people don't really recognize that piece.
Yeah. Can you say more about that?
Yeah, let me finish this
Yeah.
one, and we'll jump back to that because it's a big topic. Um, yeah, for that like the attachment system, the automatic download, the right brain to right brain thing that we get from our parents prior to 2 years old, they're showing us how to navigate the world that they know.
Hmm.
And that's what that system is doing. So it's preparing the child to navigate the world in whatever way, shape, or form it shows up. And it can be super threatening, it can be very dangerous, could be the safest little cocoon in the world, it can be everything in between. And so that like the parents are basically doing the best that they can. They're showing the child like, hey, this is our world, this is how we move through it.
Hmm.
And then that child grows up, and if it's an insecure attachment strategy, they find out the way that that map they got so early doesn't work for the rest of the world that they're trying to interact with.
Hmm.
And that's where people are like, what is this, what's going on, why am I suffering so much trying to just move through the world?
Hmm. Hmm.
And that's kind of the imprint of the attachment map, and being able to start to see that's really important. But then like that being able to feel into ourselves and start to work on the level of the somatics, work on the, let's say, the autonomic nervous system, work on just regulation skills, like that's the safety, fight, flight, freeze piece. And just for the people that are out there, the piece that I share is like, if you understand attachment theory and polyvagal theory, like you really just grok it. It's like being in the matrix and seeing the green code behind everything.
Mm.
Because it's like, oh,
Beautiful.
this is what everybody's doing.
Mm.
Everybody is actually just trying to navigate the world through these systems.
Mm.
And if you understand the scripts and you can see those, like you're like, oh, this person's an avoidant attachment response, or they're avoidant dismissive, or they're anxious preoccupied, or they're just disorganized, or they're really secure. And if you can see that, you can know so much more about them,
Mm.
because these are states that our system goes into,
Hmm.
and they're very protective, and they've worked for our predecessors. And if we don't become aware of it and change it, we'll just play that out through the rest of our life. We'll download it to our kids for better or worse,
Hmm.
because it's how we learn to navigate the world, and that's how we teach them to navigate the world. But if we become aware of it, we can start to shift it. And going back to the
Hmm.
polyvagal piece, it's a science of safety. It's a science of regulation. Because we're built
Mm.
to co-regulate, and like when the baby first comes out of the mother, they're connecting on a nervous system level, and the mother is ideally really soothing the infant and helping it regulate its all these different systems in its body.
Hmm.
And that's what we're built to do as humans.
Yeah. It's amazing to reflect on. It's amazing that connection, the mother to the child,
Hmm.
and of course the father and everything, but how dependent the baby is on the mother to
um
regulate, to feed, to
100%.
body temperature,
Hmm.
to sleep, to change the diapers, to
Hmm.
everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that, just I don't think as we get move through the world, it's easy to just forget that, but it's
Mhm.
worthwhile to like really reflect on that's where you came from. That's what
Mhm.
helped you to survive and creates life.
Yeah,
And there's something so sacred about it.
it shapes the body mind, it shapes the neurobiology, it shapes the way the child sees the world and learns to navigate through it. And
Hmm.
it's a like we shape our minds through relationship.
Mm.
Like we can't do it without relationship.
Hmm.
And so that like we'll say that sacredness or that importance or that just the reverence we can have for like, oh, like especially when dealing with kids, where it's like I'm shaping this person's worldview, I'm shaping their mind, like the way they navigate the world, like this is happening
Hmm.
in relationship just by me being me.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, if we had a more sane world, we would be giving so much more support to mothers,
Yeah.
especially in the first 2 years of life,
Hmm.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's so obvious to me as a therapist now. I think for the average person, they don't think about that very often.
No, I mean, putting children into like daycares at 6 months old or even less, this is a lot of what the US does is
Hmm.
very detrimental to the well-being because you get like one caregiver for how many children.
Hmm.
And it's supposed like ideally when secure development is really built into a child, like they're basically not getting set down for the first 2 years of their life, and then the
Hmm.
whole extended family is there. Like
Yeah.
the ideal for secure attachment and passing that on is not just the nuclear family but the whole extended family.
Mm.
And so like the aunties and grandma and all of that are supposed to be right there to pick up the child if mom can't.
It takes a village.
Yeah, truly does. Yeah.
It's a good message to share, and there are a lot of people talking about this. I think we could,
Hmm.
we have the wealth and resources to create a world where that's more the norm, if we really wanted to.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
the thing of that women should work to be equal to men. I'm really starting to question some of those ideas and the detrimental effects they've had, and the research around it. And of course, if a woman chooses to work, she should be able to do so. And
Hmm.
if a mother wants to spend time with her child and raise that child the way we're talking about, it shouldn't be so hard. It shouldn't be so expensive. It shouldn't just be for the top 5% or 1%
Hmm.
of the wealth. It should be um, more accessible. It
Yeah,
should be more
should be
normal.
be
Should be,
more worked
yeah,
into
yeah,
the culture.
yeah. It should be more appreciated. Like I think
Hmm.
that somehow that piece, maybe that's a shadow side of the feminist movement. As good as it is for, of course, men and women should have equal rights, but maybe there's some shadow sides there where um, that traditional role as a mother has been somehow devalued, and I think that's terrible.
Hmm.
I just see the consequences of that every day in the work
Yeah,
I do.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's going to be some places in society where they push back against let's say, the conventional role of mother raising children. But then, if we take that forward into like, oh, what does it look like when society really supports the rearing of securely attached children? Like the way that attachment is understood now, like it wasn't there when we were kids.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
No, like the best child rearing advice when we were kids didn't raise securely attached children.
That's actually an incredible history. I took this amazing history of psychology class,
Hmm.
and one of the most amazing parts was some of the history of how to raise children, the advice that was be given, like
Uh-huh.
Was it Dr. Spock? And
Hmm. Yeah, Dr. Spock
I can't
and
remember the name, but there was this very early kind of foundational figure in the history of American psychology in the 20s and 30s who had terrible advice on how to raise children. He said
yeah,
he was teaching everyone, if you hear your little baby crying, leave it alone in the crib.
yeah, because otherwise you're coddling
And
it.
that was like a national bestseller for like decades.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
And
yeah,
just terrible advice.
yeah, yeah. That's why there's so much like not healthy attachment in the generations before us, like the boomer generation and
Oh,
things like that. Because even if they were doing the best parental advice, it wasn't good.
it's not good.
Yeah, even into the 80s and 90s, like they didn't believe babies felt pain. And
Really?
so
I
they
can't
would
believe
do
that.
surgery with no
No,
anesthesia.
I can't
Oh
believe that. I didn't
yeah.
know
Yeah.
that. That's
Yeah. So
disturbing.
there's a lot of wild stuff when you look at it and like up
What?
until recently. And so that shift from like the first generation of attachment theory, the John Bowlby and all that stuff was beautiful and lovely. But then in the late 90s, early 2000s, they had the decade of the brain where they did all this research on neuroscience and physiology and discovered a whole bunch more.
Mm.
And that that information started getting integrated and then started to get dispersed around like 2012.
Interesting.
And so
Yeah.
attachment in the way we're talking about it right now, like anything before 2012, like isn't great material for that. And then even the gold star practices for attachment repair that exist today, like weren't even starting to be expressed until like 2016.
Mm.
And so, the first generation of attachment researchers, they were just basically like, yeah, it's too labor intensive to change adult attachment. Maybe we can focus on the kids. Like, many blessings on your journey, but there is not much we can do for you.
But now we know there are deep ways of healing that we can do to heal our attachments as adults.
Yeah,
It's a really good information to share, but
yeah,
it's good for people to know that if you're looking at advice, information on this stuff and it's dated, like really take it with a grain of salt, really do your research.
yeah. Like
Yeah.
a lot of people, if they know anything about attachment, they'll have like, read the book Attached. And when they say that, I'm like, hey, great, you don't know anything about attachment, so
Yeah.
let's forget that at this point.
So
And
that book Attached is not recommended.
it's just missing a lot. There's different layers of attachment work, and a lot of the pop culture stuff, really well meaning, and it's kind of teaching people how a securely attached couple would operate.
Mm.
And so there's kind of like three pillars in attachment repair. One is collaborative behaviors, and that's communication, regulation, self-regulation, co-regulation, uh, conflict repair, boundary work, all of those
Mm.
pieces, like all the like
So that's
this
work you're doing in relationship with someone
other ourselves or with somebody. Yeah,
and with yourself.
ideally with somebody.
Yeah,
Yeah, self-regulation is
sure.
very much internal work. But the collaborative skills of like how would a secure functioning person relate to somebody else in the world, and those are skill sets. And
Hmm.
if you don't have them, they get problematic.
Hmm.
And so in the beginning of attachment work, you spend a bit of time up leveling that on with people because we didn't get those skills growing up. Like I never took a communication class in grade school, high school,
Yeah,
like none
yeah,
of that.
yeah, me either.
Or a regulation, or like how do you become aware of somebody else's mind state? Like none of that was there.
Hmm.
And we have to be aware of that. Then the second pillar is the metacognitive, the self-reflection
Mm.
work, and how do we know that somebody else's mind state, and how do we see reality as it is in
Hmm.
accurate ways? And there's a lot of skills that go into that. And then the third pillar, which is that's like the deep work of repatterning the early childhood conditioning and being
Mm.
able to like see that through the second pillar and then start to repair it in the third.
Mm.
Like having those skill sets online is what has been a really big shift in allowing us to work on it and repair it.
Hmm.
And so if we're in a really good relationship, we can do that work in a relationship. It's big if. um, with somebody that knows how to hold us in that and do ideal parent figure work or be able
Dan
to,
Brown,
yeah,
Harvard psychologist. Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of one of the gold star practices for that third pillar.
Mm.
You can do medicine work on that, but you have to have kind of the framework of like this is working on this system, so it's getting deep enough.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
How do you see that? Like, so psychedelic work could help there?
yeah, it definitely can. If you have like the attachment framework, like I've in my work, I've compiled a bunch of the like best podcasts out there that I give to my clients or just people in general. Of,
Yeah,
hey,
you're a
like,
great resource if people check
yeah,
out your website. There's a lot of resources
yeah,
there.
there's a lot of resources on there, and I just
Yeah.
gotta keep developing more, just developing a whole body of work around this thing to just make it more accessible for people. And like being able to just see it, see the scripts and understand it and know what we actually have to do to repair it. What's the roadmap for attachment repair? If I don't have boundaries, I got to get better at that. If I can't
Hmm.
like communicate and express my needs, I have to get a lot better at that because secure relating, secure functioning is like I know what I need in order to feel cared for. I can articulate that in a way that somebody can actually meet it and they're excited to do so and I do so for them.
Hmm.
And if we do that and everything like matches up and we can build trust and safety, then we can have a really beautiful and deep relationship. But if there's incongruence in there, it gets a lot harder.
Hmm.
And so being able to like know what attachment is and then go like open up the like most psychedelics open up the right hemisphere where all the attachment stuff lives. and makes it more accessible. And so if you have kind of a skillful approach of knowing what kind of attachment pieces are supposed to be imprinted in there, and we're in an open receptive state, we can really imprint those things. Like if we didn't get soothed or protected or seen or known or delighted in by our parents, and then we have somebody there that can actually do that, then we can start to repair this map of what the world is for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause if
Yeah.
my parents weren't, if I couldn't bring something emotional to my parents, I learned that emotions being expressed isn't safe.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then if we have somebody there that can see that we're having emotions, can be like, I noticed something's coming up for you. What do you want? Would you want to share it with
You're
me?
inviting them to share their experience, to
Yeah. And
reveal.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're getting to know them through that
Mm.
process. You're getting to know their mind. And by me being regulated, seeing you, like inviting you to come meet me in the middle and reflecting back that I appreciate the feelings that you're having and I can be here with you in them and I can
Mm.
hold you in my own regulation with that, then we get that imprint of like, oh wow, it was really nice
Mm.
to actually be able to express something and be met in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much in what you're sharing. I want to circle back to the psychedelics piece, but I want
Yeah.
to share just an example from my own life.
hmm
Before we started recording, I was sharing I went to this kind of little mini festival gathering last weekend
hmm
with my partner, and we were there together, and we got to navigate that together. And on Friday night, something happened where this was a kind of like neo tantra dance movement
hmm
event with a lot of workshops. So there was this big kind of guided practice, and they guided us to sit back to back with someone. So I started off with my partner.
hmm
Okay, this feels good.
hmm
And then it was like reach out and touch someone, across from you. It's a very crowded space. Okay. And then it's like find someone new to like kind of like breathe with.
hmm
So I went, found someone new, breathing with them, and then at the end of it, I look over and I see my partner
hmm
doing this exercise with another man.
hmm
And so it brought up this stuff in me.
Yeah.
I got a little triggered,
hmm
and I got to really like witness the process. Okay, we're here, logically, rationally, I know we're here in this guided space. She's not doing anything wrong, and I want to be with what's coming up
hmm
rather than bypass it.
Yeah.
And I felt myself say with it, I felt myself going into a kind of shutdown space, which I
hmm
think is my tendency. So I'm kind of shutting down.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk to her.
hmm
She sees that there's something wrong with me. So then we're sitting there with each other for the next part. And I don't even remember what the directions were. Basically, just sitting there. And I was just going into the shutdown, not able to hear anything,
Yeah.
unable to talk.
Yep.
But she did a really beautiful job of staying with me
hmm
in that space, asking some questions like what you just said, like, what's going on? Like,
hmm
and she could tell, like, okay, I was just kind of cuddling with this other guy, so there's something's going on here.
There's an impact.
And then we got to talk about it, and we got to slow down, and we went outside together, and
hmm
we gave it time.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was,
You have to. Yeah.
I have to give it time.
Yeah.
So, I didn't go back into that workshop space. Like, we were probably outside walking around for like 20, 30 minutes, like
Perfect.
talking about this, what it brought up.
hmm
And so slowly I was able to come out of it, slowly able to
Yeah.
talk more. The part of me that wanted to attack her or blame her or be angry at her or run away
Mhm.
or leave, I had to work with that part. Like there was a part of me that just wanted to like leave and
Yep.
go back to my little camp or
Yep.
go find something else to do.
hmm
Or, oh, you're not interested in me. I'm gonna go somewhere else. Like,
Yep.
so I got to work with all that while staying in connection with her. So it was beautiful.
Yeah.
And then I felt really good at the end. I felt closer to her, and that quality of being seen
Yep.
in that shutdown space.
Yep.
It's a lot of healing there.
Yep.
So I would just say to people too, like, if you're in a relationship and both of you, to some degree, want to show up for each other, want to do this kind of work together, that's probably good enough. Like, it's not about finding the perfect person, but
Yeah.
finding someone who's willing to be curious, willing to learn, willing
Yeah.
to lean in with you,
Yeah.
rather than just act out these patterns.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
huge. Yeah.
Yeah. My main advice to people in the dating world is that if you end up with somebody that has insecure attachment strategy, they have to at least be aware of it and be working on it. Otherwise, you're just going to play out those patterns again and again and again.
Mm.
And so that's an important piece for dating and choosing a partner and choosing who to be in relationship with, because more of the society is insecurely attached than they are securely attached. And but your example there of, like, so you went into an avoidant shutdown or a
Yeah,
dismissive
I really did.
shutdown,
Yeah, it's all that.
and you
Yeah.
didn't choose to do it,
No,
right?
I did not want to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't rational,
No.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and your body did it. right?
That's right.
Yeah, and so your body detected a source of threat outside, whether it was or wasn't, doesn't matter, just perceived something to be that. And then it went into a protective strategy. And it was very textbook of I'm going to start pulling in, I'm going to start,
Yeah.
I'm going to get upset, I'm going to start, I can't think as well, I don't have much to say, I really want to leave right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a hallmark of a child that couldn't take their emotions to their parents.
Mm.
And so they learned, like,
Mm.
if I get activated, I just go away
Mm-hmm.
and I hang out on my own until this simmers down,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
then I pop back in like nothing ever happened.
That's my family probably like the part of it, kind of
Yeah,
Anglo-Saxon, don't talk about your emotions kind of
yeah,
family.
yeah. You probably had an avoidant dad
Um,
and anxious mom, and but the that thing that she did of like coming back and just seeing that she's activated, she's seeing your attachment script is playing out.
yeah.
We got you before she got to you before you actually took off.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like kind of knew what the activation was, and she didn't get more activated herself. It's very, very detrimental if somebody sees somebody in state of activation and they're like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you're doing that." That
Mm.
doesn't help.
Well, that didn't happen, but I know
Yeah,
what you're saying.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It doesn't help that situation whatsoever. And so, like, knowing the attachment scripts of like, okay, somebody got activated, that it takes minimum 20 minutes, usually 30, to actually move through that because there's a whole flood of neurochemicals.
That's an interesting part.
Yeah,
It takes time.
takes the kidneys 20 minutes at least to flood out the cortisol and adrenaline.
Mm.
And so you can't expect something to resolve faster than that.
That's really good to share with people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so that's an important piece of like, oh, they got activated. We're just going to be in this for a bit.
Mm.
Can't expect them to just like stop it. Don't be that way. It doesn't work.
Yeah. A lot of times we get that message from someone because they want to have fun or they want
Yeah,
to, let's get back to the concert or the
yeah,
whatever. Yeah.
yeah. And your script got activated, and she did a very good thing of connecting with you and starting to explore. You go slow. You move out of the activation space a little bit, and you start talking, and you start walking around, and starts to get processed through as the neurochemicals get processed through, and you move towards repair, and you can explore the thing of like, yeah, like it doesn't, like, I know we're in a practice, but something about seeing you relate with somebody else like pinged a piece in me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like, yeah, that happens, and we can go in and unpack with that why and all of that, but the more important piece is like, oh, I got activated and it was safe to bring that to you and get
Mm.
re-regulated with you.
Mm-hmm.
So a normal avoidant thing would be like, I'm going to take off and just go do other stuff and be on my own or go explore somebody else for the next 3 days. But that thing of like, oh, let me come back together. Let me
Yeah.
show my system that I can process with this person and it is safe, and we do deepen in that process is important, and
Oh,
that is repair.
yeah, it was repair. Yeah. Yeah, it's repair even repair even though she didn't really do anything wrong. So I'm not saying that, but it was very triggering and we both had a clear intention that we communicated with each other ahead of time that we're gonna prioritize our relationship
Hmm.
during this weekend. We're going here
Yeah.
together. We can talk to other people and be in the workshops, but we're prioritizing our connection. And
Hmm.
that's really the result of years of my own growth and development to get to the point where I'm
Yeah.
with someone where I'm saying that
Hmm.
and I'm wanting that
Yeah.
and I'm needing that.
Yeah.
And that makes a huge difference.
Hmm.
And the younger Julian would have just been very different.
Yeah.
It just wasn't in that place. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
it shows how learning about attachment stuff, doing this inner work, you can create new reality
Yeah.
of really deepening, really being seen and known.
Yeah. You
Yeah,
can you can change the way you relate to yourself, the world, others, the whole thing.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
you really can.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
got conditioned into us, and we can recondition it into something else.
Mm-hmm.
And the like, it takes time.
Mm-hmm.
Like if somebody's going to really dive into attachment work, you can expect like a year or two to like really change the core attachment strategy.
Mm.
But it's so worthwhile because the attachment strategies, when they come up, the insecure ones, they're afflictive. They create more suffering. They
Mm.
don't actually get our needs met in the way that we really want them to, like authentically want them to get them met. And so learning those ways of getting those needs met,
Mm-hmm.
like,
That's so important. If you can see that, then you're motivated to do this work, to be
yeah,
in this process.
yeah,
We get a lot of bad messaging from society, from movies, from, because I'm thinking about like the cowboy who's riding off on his own.
hmm,
and he's so cool and he can handle everything and never shows any emotion.
Yeah, John Wayne is the textbook avoidant man.
Okay, yeah, it's such a strong archetype in our culture. I mean, I grew up with that, and
Hmm.
yeah, there's John Wayne, there's the cowboys, there's the superheroes often have that flavor.
Hmm. Yeah, but
Um,
it's not actually healthy. It's not the way we're designed to be.
mhm.
We're designed to be deeply co-regulated and both impactful and impacted by, and we're supposed to learn how to like navigate these stressors in our life with other people.
Rather than on our own.
Correct. Yeah,
Yeah,
100%. Like if,
yeah.
especially for an avoidant person, like if they get activated and they stay on their own, you're looking at like a multi-day thing to actually come back to regulation, but then the thing's not actually getting processed.
Mm.
And as you experienced, you can get activated and you just work it through with somebody, and 30 minutes later you're back to where you were.
Yeah, and the cool part was at the other end of it, actually feeling grateful for getting triggered
Hmm.
because we worked through it together.
Yep.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's really important what you just shared too. You know, if in that situation I had taken off on my own and not talked to her the rest of the night and given her the cold shoulder, yeah, I could have turned into this huge thing.
Hmm.
It may have never gotten resolved. I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, the stakes are high here, especially as you get older. It's
Yeah.
like at the end of the day, at the end of our lives, you know, our relationships are, you know, some of the most important things, meaningful parts of our life.
Hmm. Yeah. It is what brings in the most meaning and the most happiness is the quality of our relationships. And we're really not given a good base of how to do like healthy, sustainable, securely attached relationships with people, whether that's friends, coworkers, family, partners,
Mm.
ourselves.
Hmm.
And so taking time to be able to dive into that, and like the thing like in the work that I do with people, there's like a threshold I see them like cross. Once they get it, once they grok it, then they're off to the races.
Mm.
And I get to just like hang back and just guide them instead of having like, okay, this is what we have to do and this is the thing going on, like
Mm. Yeah, yeah,
highlighting the whole thing
yeah.
and being able to like see how fundamental this is, how foundational, and how much suffering it creates.
Mm.
And doing this work is the alleviation of suffering, both for ourselves and for other people.
Mm. Hmm.
And it's incredibly important. And if we don't have a secure, like natively secure system, we're just going to be recreating these patterns of suffering because
Mm.
that it's like the insecure strategies just have it built into it because there's some sort of inauthenticity or some sort of pulling away.
Hmm.
And that ability to be able to feel into our hearts and feel into connection and feel actually like really receive love and also give it is the basis of this practice.
Mm.
And there's just a lot of kind of pieces depending on where somebody is that they have to like kind of find out where they are, start like applying the appropriate remedy, and then just start to see how things shift. And they do over time for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah. And like a lot of the stuff like changes in the first 6 months, and then you're just kind of doing deeper cleanup work over that period.
Hmm.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, good. I like the hope.
It's very hopeful. I mean, it is the science of transformation. It
Uh-huh.
truly can transform the mind and the regulation strategies and all of that. Like so much of the suffering of the world is because people didn't learn how to regulate themselves and or how to be regulated by somebody else, or even how to find people that are regulating and feeling safe. 'Cause
Yeah.
a lot of people I work with, like their definition of what is safe and normal is a very far cry from it.
Mm.
And so that's part of the teaching people like, hey, this is what safety is, and this is how people are supposed to treat you, and this is what it's like to be like regulated and heart open in the world and just like lit up by life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful. I love that.
Hmm.
Well, I want to switch directions a little bit.
Yeah, please.
How would you differentiate attachment theory that we've gone into such depth here talking about from the Buddhist teachings where, like, for example, the Four Noble Truths
Hmm.
are often translated as attachment causes suffering.
Yeah.
And so that word attachment, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, they're really using it in basically polar opposite ways.
Yeah, do you want to share about that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so yeah, there's it's really fun when some of the people that come to the live events that I do in person, they come for the Buddhist attachment thing, and then I'm talking about the other one. But so in attachment theory in the West, we're talking about there's secure attachment, and then there's the anxious avoidant. There's we can say anxious avoidant or avoidant dismissive, anxious preoccupied, and disorganized. And so secure would generally be much more of what they're talking about in non-attachment in the East.
Yeah, this is such an important point, and I've heard Dr. John Churchill talk about this really
Hmm.
eloquently. And yeah, so that same word attachment is getting used in very different ways to mean
Yeah, yeah,
totally different
they're
things. Yeah.
polar opposites,
Yeah.
but they're also working on the same system.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and so when you're talking about non-attachment in Buddhism, there's like the self has gripping to it,
Hmm.
and the self has grasping to it,
I
and
like the word clinging.
yeah,
Like
clinging is
clinging.
yeah, and
It's partly semantic, right?
yeah, one of the reasons I like certain psychedelic work and do a lot with 5-MeO DMT
Hmm.
because you get to feel that directly.
Hmm.
Like you can feel the grasping of the mind or the grasping of the self.
Mm-hmm.
You can just like it's clear as day.
You can notice it.
Yeah, it's quite uncomfortable, but yeah, clear as day. And there's a way
I know
that
what
we
you're.
can
Yeah.
yeah, there's a
Yeah.
way that we can let that go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in the like Buddhist practices, one of the ways to get rid of attachment is like the four immeasurable practices. So you're working on loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and then equanimity.
Hmm.
And so you're cultivating the self to be open to reality as it is versus
Mm-hmm.
shutting off or bracing, pushing away. And like
Yep.
in the, in Buddhist practice, the function of we'll say small mind or the ego mind is it grasps, it pushes away, or it gets indifferent.
Hmm.
And that's a function of our mind, but that's not who we are. But most people are
Mm-hmm.
wrapped up in that, and that's what creates suffering.
Yep.
And you can look at attachment theory. If you're secure, you're open, your heart open and resilient to what is in the world. You don't push away, which is the avoidant. You don't grasp, which is or you could say, the anxious is the grasp, and disorganized is going to be both a push pull, and then avoidance also like I'm just going to ignore it and pretend like it doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so
Kind of
those
bypass, check out. Yeah.
yeah, I'm just going to go over there and just be done with it, and like it's not there anymore. And so attachment in the West is like secure attachment is just being heart open,
Mm.
and it's just being connected to and available to what's going on in life with a bunch of resilience in the nervous system. And in the East, that's what non-attachment is. It's like
Mm.
I'm heart open and I'm connected to reality and I'm resilient. I don't get afflicted. I don't get dysregulated by the stressors that come in. But I can
Right.
feel it, but my nervous system doesn't go into a distortion.
Mm.
And so they're using the same term where like the insecure attachment strategies are going to have more of that grasping.
Mm-hmm.
And the secure response in the world is going to be much more open.
Mm.
And the grasping, the clinging creates a lot of suffering.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to start to look at that and cultivate it, and like honestly most of the practices that I use in detachment repair are like come from Buddhism originally and get reiterated for the Western market, if you will.
Mm.
Well, you could say watered down a little bit, but that's my own
That,
well, not, it's not like that's not quite the right phrase, but
well, adapted,
like
changed.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's made secular versus like, oh, you have to be a Buddhist to be able to do this. Like that's not the way it is.
Mm. So interesting. I mean, there's such a rich subjects we're talking about here, but
Hmm.
you could say that developing secure attachment in yourself could be a prerequisite to realizing that deeper non-clinging, non-grasping that the Buddhist teachings are pointing to.
Hmm.
Or what I heard you saying is they're actually kind of the same thing.
Yeah, they will say they're interdependent.
Okay.
Yeah, and so if we're say trying to we can say trying to do spiritual practice and trying to have these bigger openings or realizations, our attachment activations get in the way of that.
Mm.
They knock us down from being able to be regulated and open. And like there's so much we could say inside of this, like
Mm.
like real spiritual practice is bringing you over into a more right brain way of relating to the world, because
Hmm.
that's where awe and love and compassion they're all right brain phenomena,
Hmm.
and just being plugged into reality as it is. The suffering, the afflictive, the false stories are much more of a left brain kind of thing.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
yeah, and like our like there's a really, it's not talk like this is a deeper cut on attachment work where our ability to like self-reflect on ourselves and like grow in how we can see and understand the world gets limited by
Hmm.
these insecure attachment strategies. And if we want, if like we really want to grow as a human being in all the dimensions, like we have to work towards secure attachment. And one of the things that I did when I first like stumbled into professional level attachment work that we're talking about now is I went back and looked at the Buddhist path. And from day one on the Buddhist path, they are asking people to do things that like pretty much only securely attached people can natively do.
That's
And
fascinating to me.
yeah,
Yeah.
let's take refuge. Let's have trust. Let's have faith in reality as it is.
Mm.
And like that's
Hmm.
a big step.
Yeah.
And if we're braced against some aspect of reality, we have that clinging, we have that grasping of the mind. It's really hard to open to reality as it is.
Hmm.
And so I mean there's so much crossover between like how the foundational, the pre like the preliminary practices in Buddhism are really cultivating a lot of secure attachment with reality. But if you understand attachment theory, it makes it a lot faster to do it. And
Interesting. Yeah.
yeah, and we talk about like you can say attachment theory, you can say, but it's also emotional regulation.
Hmm.
Like attachment work is emotional regulation work, and emotional regulation work is a preliminary practice for doing deeper spiritual work because
Hmm.
we're getting in contact with these layers of self, and if we don't know how to touch into or navigate layers of self that are more challenging, then we have to back off of spiritual work or relational work.
Mm.
And so there, it's incredibly important. Yeah, if we can get into a spiritual practice and use it to spiritually bypass our attachment system, and that's
Mm.
that's that's a problem in spiritual practice itself. And
Mm.
so that kind of that preliminary work of being able to like, am I secure or am I avoidant? Am I anxious? Am I disorganized?
Yeah.
And what does that mean? And can I apply the remedy to fix that versus trying to do all this other stuff that may work on it in some way, some layer, versus just getting to the core of it.
Right. So we can get into meditation and we can be experiencing incredible states of openness and awareness and
Hmm.
insight and clarity and all the things that deep meditation can lead to without really touching in the attachment system.
Hmm.
So, one of the other questions I had for you
Yeah.
was, can someone be enlightened or awakened and not have secure attachment? Because, at least in the modern West, it seems like there's been a lot of powerful spiritual teachers who were relationally pretty much a disaster.
Yep.
So,
Hmm. Yep. Yeah. 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 I mean, you very much can. You because they're different domains of development. You know, like the attachment system, it's very impactful on metacognitive development and like how far we go up that line in emotional development and all of that. Spiritual development is kind of another domain of experience of really
mm,
having these state experiences. And so we can chase these state experiences, one to get away from our sense of self because there's so much suffering in it. Like how many practitioners come to
mm.
practice because their sense of self hurts. 95, 99.
And meditation can seem like a window out of it rather than working through it.
Yeah, it and
Yeah.
it there's plenty of meditation practices to work on this thing because there's so many different kinds. So it can be a tool to fix this.
Mm,
But like the going, like trying to suppress the sense of self is not the answer. Having
mhm,
compassion towards ourselves, towards others, that's a huge piece. Um, but we can try to, we'll say, transcend the sense of self. We can try to suppress the sense of self. We can try to use these states to get into a more blissful place. Um, and that just doesn't work. Like we can spend all the time on the cushion, but then we go relate with somebody, and this strategy comes up that might not have been worked, and then we're creating suffering.
Ugh. I heard this story of this guy who was anyway, he did a 3.5 long year meditation retreat, which
Hmm.
was part of the Tibetan Buddhist
Yep.
tradition. And this is, I think a teacher at Naropa University told me this story, and they were they went to see them after they got out of their retreat. So they
Mhm.
had been like a week or two since they had gotten out of retreat.
Yep.
And when they went over to see them, they were in this big argument with their wife.
Uh-huh.
And they were like yelling, and she shared that with me, I think, to kind of illustrate some of what you're getting at here.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting thing. And not that there's not value in that, not that I'm dismissing it, but that when we're in relationship with another human, it's a different system than, I think, neurologically, than when we're by ourselves meditating.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of interesting to look at. I
Hmm.
think
100%.
this is such a big subject, but I think as I've delved more into it, it does make sense to me that in traditional societies, traditional Tibet, traditional India,
Hmm.
traditional Europe, if you go back a while,
Fair enough. Yeah.
I think there were it was more common for people to have this secure attachment, have been raised by the village, to have been with their mom the first few years of their life, et cetera, et cetera.
Hmm.
And so I think when we in the modern West are connecting with deep contemplative traditions and doing these long meditation retreats and things, so many more of us are insecurely attached.
Hmm.
And I think we're just now starting to recognize that and speak to it and have more practices to work with that healing needs to happen. It might be it's so important, and we can't bypass it, and we should just the awareness and recognizing what's going on here.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's interesting. Like,
Yeah.
because a lot of people have this idea, and I used to have this idea, like the solitary yogi, the solitary monk, like
Hmm.
going off in the cave, meditating by themselves, becoming enlightened, without considering the fact that they grew up in maybe a village, maybe they were farmers, and they spent the first part of their life in a monastery where they were enmeshed in all these relationships with all the other monks, and they were part of a community, and they were doing
Hmm.
rituals for the villagers, and they were going around and begging, and they were, it was just like very, as a whole, the society was very connected
Yeah.
in ways that our society has become so individuated
Yeah. I mean, in
and
Tibet,
isolated.
yeah, in
Yeah.
Tibet, there was 6 million people in Tibet, and 1 million of them were in the monasteries.
Yeah. So it's very, it was a big society. It was a very
The
relational.
society supported it,
Yeah.
and compassion was interwoven. Is interwoven in that culture in a way that it's not in modernity.
Hmm. And I think like they were more relational. Any
Hmm.
pre-modern society like had so much more ways you were interacting with your neighbors, with that you would go to the
Yeah.
market and you would see people that you would spend, for most of human history, most people spent their whole lives within something like 30 square miles of where they were
Yeah.
born.
Yep.
So you would be born and die knowing all these people around
Yep.
you, for better or worse. Sometimes
Yep.
that could be very negative because you would have family feuds,
Yeah.
with the neighbors. But it's so different than our modern world where we're so isolated and individual. We can move. I could travel around the world. I could move somewhere. I don't know
Hmm.
anyone.
Yep.
Talk to people on Zoom all day and
Hmm.
look at porn at night and
Hmm.
go on a dating app. And you're never making the human to human,
Yeah.
eye to eye, body to body connection that we grew up with for millions of years.
Yeah. Yeah. We're designed to do that deep interconnection with each other.
Hmm.
Like we're just designed to. And so, like going back to the monastic mode of it, like some people are going to be naturally more avoidant, go to the monastery. Others are, they just find something in the truth, and they might be like rather secure functioning, and then they go really work on that and cultivate that capacity. So there's going to be a little bit of both.
Hmm.
My Zen teacher, he spent 7 years in a monastery, and he said like 50% of the people were there to hide. And so
50%.
yeah,
This is in America.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
in America,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it wasn't the Far East, but
That's fascinating, but it sounds about right.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, if I think of myself when I was in my early 20s and I was so into meditation, was some part of me wanting to hide? Some part of me was at least wanting to not participate in the normal society. That's for
mhm.
sure. So,
Yeah. We
yeah.
we look at we look at what our society is right now. We look, you can say city states, you can say modern nuclear family, you can say, we're in a very capitalist society, which is in the way that it is today was developed like post World War I, around World War II, and the full experience of it that we're having right now. And we were separated, like like
Hmm.
schooling, our education system, like put
Hmm.
individuals in desks and don't have them talk to each other.
Took us
And
out of our family,
yeah,
out of the
yeah,
family home.
yeah,
I remember that as a kid, going to elementary school. I remember the building being so cold. It's in North Carolina, which is really hot and humid, but you'd go inside and it's like freezing.
hmm,
And then you sit in this desk where the desk is attached to the chair. And I just remember my body aching. It was so uncomfortable.
yeah,
You turn to your neighbor and say something, and the teacher says, "Don't talk."
yeah,
And And yeah, it's just
Yeah,
interesting though.
just
Not fun.
yeah, just conditioning the left brain mode and knowing the world instead of this whole right brain.
Yeah.
And we're right brain dominant beings by a long shot. Like left brain, left hemisphere stuff is just supposed to be like quick snapshots of the world, and it's useful for like energy consumption if you want to get technical in there. And there's a lot of nuance in that, but
It can be very useful. So it's the servant and the master. The left brain makes a
yeah,
wonderful servant, but a terrible master.
yeah,
The mind makes a
master
good
in the
servant,
nth area.
but a bad, poor master.
Yeah, absolutely.
The logical, rational, language-based,
Mm-hmm.
thinking things through, thinking.
Lists and
It's a
structure.
tool, but it's not meant to be who we are. It's not who we actually are. So
Yeah,
we've gotten lost there.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's not regulation. It's not
It's not
co-regulating.
regulating. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole like if people take anything from this, it's like learn the power of co-regulation,
Mm.
and that's a right hemisphere thing. So like, how do we actually feel each other from afar, and how do I feel safe with you, and how do I attune to you, and how can we actually like connect and down regulate and drop our energy down into the floor, into the feet, and be like, hey, I'm here with you. I'm
Mm.
present. We're connected. We
Mm-hmm.
don't need to do anything, but we feel better being with each other. That's what co-regulation does. We
Mm.
resource each other instead of draining each other. And
Mm-hmm.
like co-regulation isn't transactional. Like, you say we're both getting a lot from it and we're giving a bunch and we're here for each other. And like that isn't taught as a skill in our society. If your
Mm.
parents know how to do it, great. If not, like maybe you'll get your needs met through sex, maybe not.
Mm. We need to really value that more.
Yeah.
And I wonder if this is just occurring to me now, but some of our society's fixation and obsession with sex and sexualizing everything
Hmm.
is actually coming from this lack of
Yeah,
attunement and
absolutely.
co-regulation.
Yeah.
And so sex can be the one place where I get to be present with another
Yeah,
person's
yeah.
body.
It's you can talk about the loneliness epidemic and
Hmm.
both, all the sexes, not just men,
Yeah.
but the ability to actually feel seen, feel known,
Hmm.
feel soothed and regulated by somebody, like feel really safe, secure attachment. Like
Hmm.
like when we feel safe in our system, then we can feel a connection to other people, all of life, all of that. Like we're never actually truly alone. We're always surrounded by everything all the time. And
Yeah.
we can learn to feel that connection because it is like
Yeah.
our right brain stuff is profoundly interconnected in so many ways.
That's a really interesting point. Remember I went on a meditation retreat once and I was by myself for like a week
Hmm.
in the mountains there in Crestone, Colorado, and I had that insight like we're never alone.
No.
Because I was like, I'm here all by myself, and yet I don't feel alone.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of sat with that. And I'm like, yeah, we're never alone. Like,
Yeah.
how could I be alone? Like,
Yeah.
never alone. It doesn't exist. Like,
It doesn't.
there's no alone.
Yeah. There's no place you can actually be alone.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah. We're all connected all the time.
yeah, space is around us, life is around us. It's all one,
Stars are here.
all one organism.
Yeah.
Yeah. But loneliness is a left brain thing.
Mm.
I don't feel connected.
Yeah, I'm not going to say I don't feel alone at times, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's the left brain.
It comes up. Yeah.
It's a feeling, a thought, a belief.
Hmm.
It's not fun. Doesn't feel good.
Yeah, and being able to cultivate that ability to be connected and to go out and like be fundamentally connected to people. We learn the collaborative skills. How do we communicate? How are we not horribly abrasive? How do we care for somebody else? How do they care for us? And how do we deepen into that as part of attachment work?
Mm.
And
Yeah,
then
so big.
yeah, and then like if we really know ourselves, then I can be really regulated, and I can hold you in your activation
Mm.
like your partner did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh yeah, you're playing out your attachment script right now. Cool, I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm. And we can do that in spiritual practice. Like, for the people listening, one of the newest and like one of my, let's say, new favorite resources for healing attachment comes through a teacher named John McCransky, and he's got this book called How Compassion Works,
Oh yeah.
and it's
I've
a
met him before. I know him.
yeah, he's
Yeah.
great. Yeah, and it integrates like let's say Buddhist spiritual benefactor practice with attachment work,
Mm.
and you're literally like working to like integrate the feeling of secure attachment into your system through this practice, through cultivating compassion.
Mm.
And so there's ways to do that are becoming much more accessible, and stuff that we can just do on the daily, like in our daily lives, in order to recondition this map that we learned of what the world is.
Yeah.
Because if we learn that it's not okay to express our needs, we're not going to express them, and we'll dysregulate anytime we try to. Or if we learn that the world's not a loving place, or that I can't be soothed, or that like nobody's going to see me, we just perpetuate that cycle.
Hmm.
And if we know that about ourselves and we can start to apply the remedy, which these works can do that,
Hmm.
then we stop relating to the world in the same way, and then we can actually like be met, get met, show up, and like
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And I think it's good to share with people you can do so much of this work with your own being. You can
hmm
learn how to become securely attached with yourself. You
yeah,
can learn how to regulate. You can learn how to hold yourself when part of you is triggered.
hmm
Another part of you can hold that part. And that's really, really deep. And then that can start to then translate to relationships.
hmm
And we can do like everything you're sharing, yes, with the romantic relationship, but also with the deep friendship.
hmm
So it's
yeah,
not like you don't have to be in a committed lifelong partnership to experience deep, genuine happiness and secure attachment. You
yeah,
could, like the monk, like the Dalai Lama, he's very securely attached.
yeah,
He's not married. So
yeah.
there's different paths we can take. And I think it's worth sharing that because we can get fixated on the
hmm
romantic part.
Yeah, yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
need to look a particular way. It can
Yeah.
be so different for everyone.
Yeah.
And finding the ways that works for us and works for our station in life and where we're at and what we're doing, like is part of it. There's like so much nuance. It's not just a cookie cutter thing.
Hmm.
But you know, we get to create this thing how we want, and we've
Hmm.
been brought into a society that, you know, this day and age we're seeing some of the afflictive aspects of our societal ways of being for quite a while, and kind of there's a lot of room to create like new ways that we connect and communicate
Hmm.
and work with each other, and we need to, because we're facing a lot of difficulties,
We
a lot
really
of
are.
uncertainties.
Yeah. And there's an epidemic of increasing anxiety, increasing depression,
hmm
increasing suicide,
yeah
which isn't talked about enough.
hmm
Um, so yeah, I mean, if you're listening to this, an amazing fact that's blowing my mind. Scientists recently came out with a study. They're observing us Americans. The average American is looking at their phone 220 times a day. And the
so
phone is taking us straight to the left brain.
yeah
The phone is taking us away from this human to human connection.
hmm
The phone is bringing us often to the left brain. I mean, it's a
yeah
disconnecting device, even though we
hmm
can connect through it. So that's a huge thing. Um, yeah, 50% of people today are meeting their partner through dating apps. It's a whole nother subject. We can have another podcast, but it's, and then 70% of Gen Zers report that no one in their life truly knows them. And that's survey data that scientists are
hmm
doing. And it's interesting to really sit with that. 70% of people in Generation Z are saying no one in their life truly knows them.
hmm
The number is likely higher because people, even to an anonymous survey taker, are have a tendency to not want to admit that.
hmm yeah
So 70%. So if the number is higher than that, I mean, what are we talking about here? People are not having the friendships that make their
hmm
life truly meaningful.
yeah
We need to like make some changes here. This is
yeah
big. This is a
yeah
big deal.
Feeling seen and feeling known are one of the like primary conditions that create secure attachment.
Hmm.
And you know, I didn't know what that meant. Like if you would have asked me in prior to like the early 20s or like mid 20s of my life, I would have been like, sure, I feel seen.
Right. Like
Because
as a teenager, you don't know.
I just hadn't had the experience of being seen
Mm,
until I
yeah,
moved
yeah.
out here to Boulder and was at the Integral Center and all that,
Uh-huh.
did the authentic relating stuff, and it was like, oh, this is what feeling seen is, and I've never had this in my life.
So how many people don't even know that they don't feel fully seen because they've never even experienced it to know that they
Yeah,
don't feel it now? Yeah.
I'd say a vast majority.
So this is, I mean,
Yeah.
it just blows my mind. And
hmm
um, this is something, if you're listening or in my life, like if there's someone you can reach out to, if there's ways you can connect in real life, like
hmm
let's do it.
Yeah.
We're not in the pandemic right now. We need to repair from that. We
Yeah.
need
We can
to,
go on a walk and talk with each other. We can
yeah,
we can
get
hold
coffee,
each other,
show up.
cuddle, like look each other in the eyes,
Yeah,
and not just be on the screens. Like
yeah.
I'll say one of the, you know, healthy attachment work is repatterning the mind, and we're not taught how to actually work with our own mind and how to cultivate and generate happiness, or how to process the suffering and the grief and the sadness. And that's one of the huge detriments. And like if we're not taught how to work with, we can say the mind, but it's also the autonomic nervous system, it's regulation.
Mm.
If we're not taught how to do that, then we're just left to like the lowest common denominator in our life.
Mm.
And the ability to start to really self-reflect and recognize that we can actually work towards, we'll say, this happiness project, and not happy because we got something in the world, but because it's coming from inside. We can say like positive mental balance like
Mhm.
creates happiness.
Mhm.
um like most people, like the common culture in the US isn't aware of it at all.
Mm.
And so they're most people, they're a little bit more running on autopilot. They're running on the map that they were either taught by their parents or taught by society.
Mhm.
And if you're doing the American dream, like that doesn't actually create happiness.
Mm.
And so that ability to really start to look at ourselves and look at the situation we find ourselves in and cultivate the resilience to handle the stress that's in our life. And you say, not today, Satan, to the stress that we can't do anything about.
Mm.
And like bring our hearts into the world. Like that's what this work is about.
Mhm.
And like if we're brought up in this place that does that, the lucky few, they turn out really well.
Mm.
And if we're not, we fortunately have the capacities and the tools to do that today for ourselves and for the people around us.
Mhm.
And I've worked with plenty of families where one person starts doing their attachment work and the rest of the family changes.
Beautiful. Yeah.
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 Because our attachment strategies is the water we swim in
Mm.
as a family.
Mhm.
And we just know like, oh, this, like, it's unconscious. This is how we do this. This is how we relate to each other. This is how we relate to the world. And if that is causing suffering, that's an attachment disturbance, and it can be changed.
Mm.
Takes a little bit of work, a little bit of know-how, a little bit of right tools,
And take
and
some
it can
time.
shift. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But to change a family, it just takes one person to do the work, and that person starts to change. They don't even have to do anything to the other people. They just start to change, and then the rest of the family is like, "What's happening?
Mm.
What's going on here?"
Interesting.
Yeah, they get really uncomfortable. And but the person, like the person's like, yeah, I've been doing this thing. Let me do this with you.
Mm.
And so it's a relational practice that as we do it ourselves, we can do it for other people, whether
Mhm.
that's our children, our partners, our family,
Mhm.
people at work, stranger on the street.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you. It's been wonderful to have you back on the podcast.
Yeah, it's
Thank
great
you
to
so
be with
much.
you.